Discover the incredible power of focus, a heartwarming tale of life-changing transformation in 3. Jason's hands trembled with fatigue as he served coffee to the handful of patrons at the diner. The clock ticked past midnight, and the hum of the neon sign outside was the only thing keeping him going. His life revolved around the blend of grease and grumbles, but it was in these moments, the quiet before closing time, that he thought of his daughter, Lily. Just 12 years old, with dreams as bright as the stars they often counted together from their small porch. Today was a little different. The storm clouds of school dread loomed larger on Lily's brow. It felt as if her bright spirit was dimming under the weight of judgments she faced at school, and that pulled at Jason's heart like a beggar at the door. The world outside the diner felt cold and harsh, the kind of place where money dictated happiness, and Jason's modest income felt like shackles around his ankles. Lily often spoke about wanting a better home, third-row seats at concerts, and the fancy clothes her classmates wore without a hint of shame. It broke Jason's heart to see her desire for what he couldn't provide. But he worked hard. 2 jobs, night and morning, spreading his days thin to nourish her hopes. For every tired smile he wore through closing shifts, he prayed it would inspire her, but today, a spark ignited in Lily's eyes. "Dad! Have you heard about the academic competition?" She practically exploded with excitement when he arrived home. The prize was a scholarship, a chance to leap into a future beyond the diner and construction sites. Jason felt his chest swell. Perhaps here lay a way to break free, to allow her to escape the whispers of privilege around her. The hours blurred into days as Lily poured herself into studying, her determination an echoing heartbeat in their small home. But as her enthusiasm rose, so did the ridicule at school. She faced them, the privileged kids with their designer backpacks and flashy shoes, not as an equal but as a reminder of what she lacked. It weighed on him, and every contemptuous whisper she brought home chipped away at his spirit. "They don't understand us, Dad," she would say, tears brimming in her eyes. "Why are we different?" Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jason felt the weight of those words, the injustice fueling a fire inside him. The upcoming community fundraising night at the diner started to transform from an obligation into a mission, a chance to unite and demonstrate their shared struggles. Suddenly, familiar faces rallied around Jason, offering support beyond anything he could have imagined. In their camaraderie and shared laughter, hope seeped through the cracks of their despair. Maybe together, they could prove that dignity wasn't dictated by a bank account. Yet, those moments of light often flickered out too quickly. The scent of impending doom hung thick as Lily, still reeling from ridicule, started to withdraw. Their lives were a precarious balance and suddenly felt like a tightrope walk stretched too thin. Would abounding love be enough to carry them through? Jason's mind raced as tension bubbled between them, threatening to erupt. Deep down, the storm of doubt was growing, pushing against the fragile walls of their lives, and just as they seemed to gather strength, a shocking revelation dropped into their laps like a brick. Lily overheard a conversation at school about unfair advantages, foundations, and whispers about who could buy their way into success. It unraveled at Jason's feet. And he felt the ground shaking. All her dreams and his sacrifices were on the edge of collapse. Would their small-town community understand? Would they embrace their journey or shatter it beneath societal expectations? The way forward felt dense and murky, but they had to take a stand. Would they crumble or rise? The answer hung delicately in the air, filled with possibilities yet to unfold, leaving both father and daughter facing a tumultuous road filled with challenges beyond imagination. Jason stood alone in the near-empty diner, the flickering lights casting long shadows across the worn linoleum floor. The familiar sound of the coffee pot hissing was a constant in his life, almost a comfort. But today, it barely registered. His thoughts were tangled in Lily's anguish, her enthusiasm dimmed by the harsh reality of a world that too often rewarded privilege over hard work. That he poured himself a cup of coffee, the hot liquid almost burning his fingers as he gripped the mug tightly. How could he help her see the beauty in their struggle? How could he reinforce the notion that hard work could indeed pave the way for success, even if the path was less traveled? Just then, the bell above the door jingled, and a group of familiar faces shuffled in, their laughter echoing off the diner's walls, breaking him from his spiraling thoughts. "Hey, Jason. Busy night?" Mark, an old regular, plopped into a booth, a broad grin stretched across his face. Others followed, their spirits infectious, pulling Jason back into the present. "Just the usual," he replied, forcing a smile. "How about you guys?" Their banter washed over him, a comforting wave. As he took their orders, he couldn't shake the idea that perhaps tonight was just what he needed: a little connectivity with those who understood the grind of everyday life. Amid the friendly chatter, Jason began to see the community that surrounded him. He shared stories of Lily and her competition, their own tales intertwining, weaving a narrative that echoed resilience. The burdens they all carried were both heavy and beautiful, woven intricately into lives lived with purpose. Each word spoke of struggle, sacrifice, and the drive to rise above. As he reached for the salt shaker behind the counter, someone asked, "So, what are you going to do about Lily's competition? It's tough out there." The question hung in the air, heavier than any coffee pot Jason had ever lifted. "I'm trying to find a way to help her. Encourage her, you know. It's just she feels different," Jason admitted, voice thick with emotions he rarely openly spoke about. "These kids at school don't see what we see. They don't see all the hard work that goes into making a dream a reality." Mark's eyes softened. "You know, Jason, what they lack in privilege, they make up for in heart. Don't let the noise drown out her passion. Teach her to stay focused on what really matters." A flicker of understanding sparked in Jason. Maybe this was exactly what he needed to do: not only bolster Lily's hope but connect her with those like them. It could transform the narrative from an isolated struggle to a collective journey. As the evening drew on, their laughter mingled with Jason's determination. At last, he saw a glimmer of possibility. He decided, as his heart beat with purpose, he would rally the community together. He would inspire them to show his daughter that they were more than their circumstances. They were woven together in shared dreams, a battalion of hard workers aiming for the same stars. After the last customers departed, Jason gathered his things, a fresh resolve lighting him up from within. "I'll make it happen, one way or another," he whispered to himself as he stepped outside into the cool night air. The world felt different now. It felt alive with possibilities. And as the moon hung high above, he knew a plan was forming. Instead of crumbling beneath doubt, they would stand together to create a new reality. Yet as he climbed into his old truck, uncertainty gnawed at him. Would the community rally? Would they truly understand what was at stake for Lily? Tonight had awakened something, but outcomes were unpredictable. The stakes were climbing, and Jason was left wondering if they could rise together, or if this endeavor might deepen their challenges unexpectedly. The question lingered in the air, both heavy and hopeful: would they emerge stronger together, or face another fraught truth? Jason's hands gripped the steering wheel as he drove down the dimly lit streets. The headlights of his truck illuminated patches of cracked pavement and rusted mailboxes, each a reminder of the struggles embedded in his community. He had always believed that change was possible. After tonight, he believed it even more. He parked outside their small house, the glow of a single lamp spilling out onto the porch. Inside, Lily's laughter was a sound he longed to hear, yet it was now tinged with uncertainty. As he entered, he found her sprawled on the living room floor, surrounded by art supplies and half-finished projects, a portrait of creativity stifled by doubt. "Hey there, superstar," Jason said, tossing his keys onto the counter before kneeling beside her. Lily looked up, her brow furrowed. "Dad, how do you fight against kids who have everything? It feels hopeless." Her voice cracked, revealing the hurt beneath her bravado. Jason took a breath, remembering Mark's words about the heart. You fight with what you have, Lily. You fight with your passion. And maybe with the people around you. Her eyes shifted, blinking back tears. It's not just about me, Dad. I want to show them, but what if they don't see? What if they only see what they want? The money, the connections, it's like I'm invisible. Jason paused, his heart aching for her. You're not invisible to those who truly matter. Nobody can take away what you create, what you work for. He leaned closer, a spark igniting in his chest. What if we invited the community to see your art? Not just as a competition but as a celebration of what we all can do. Lily's brows lifted, hope flickering. You mean like an art show? Exactly, Jason replied, excitement spilling out unfiltered. We can ask people to showcase their passions. We can gather around real creativity, real struggle. Everyone could contribute, like a village sharing what matters to them. She tilted her head, interest piqued. But, what if no one shows up? Jason placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we keep at it, Lily. We reach out as many people as we can and celebrate resilience. They'll see what hard work will achieve, and who knows? It could spark something in them, too. Lily nodded slowly. What if we don't have enough time? He smiled, fueling the enthusiasm brewing between them. Time is irrelevant when you're driven. Let's start tomorrow. We'll put up flyers everywhere, reach out on social media, whatever it takes. As they began to brainstorm, pages filled with ideas, the evening air shifted inside their humble home. Excitement forged between them, banishing the shadows of doubt. Each doodled design, each scrawled plan felt like a brick laid in the foundation of something remarkable. The next day, Jason set out feeling lighter, energized by their shared vision. He found Mark at the diner, tapping his fingers impatiently. You ready to pitch this idea? Mark asked, a knowing smile spreading across his face. Jason nodded firmly. It's going to be bigger than an art show. It's a call for us to rally, to show what we can do when we band together. As word spread, the community began to buzz with the news. Neighbors, old friends, and distant faces began to express their interest. Yet, beneath the excitement, Jason felt that familiar nag of uncertainty. Would they truly rally? What if old wounds reopened, and insecurities silenced the sound of hope? Just then, shaking off his fears, he caught sight of Lily. She was standing at the edge of the crowd they'd gathered, eyes wide with excitement. Dad! Look! Her voice rang out. As Jason turned, he saw families joining, curious and eager to be part of something meaningful. For the first time that day, a genuine smile broke across his face. Because amidst the clutter and chaos, perhaps this was the breakthrough they had both needed, a spark to ignite a larger flame. But in the back of his mind lingered the question, would the courage to dream translate into action, or were they just building castles in the air? As enthusiasm sparked around them, one thought surged stronger than the doubt: what truly lay ahead in this journey had yet to be revealed. Amidst the lively chatter, Jason could feel the energy crackling in the air. It was more than just excitement, it was the hope that had been smoldering in every corner of the community finally catching fire. As the murmurs grew, he nudged his way closer to Lily, who was beaming brighter than any spotlight he'd ever seen. Look at them, Dad. They really care. Her face shone with a mixture of disbelief and pride. They do, Jason replied, holding her gaze. It's all because of you. You've reminded them what it feels like to connect. Lily's smile faltered for a second. But what if they think it's not enough? What if they laugh? Jason felt a twinge of doubt creep in again but quickly pushed it aside. It doesn't matter what they think. What matters is you showed up, and so did they. That's brave. And that's enough. As the crowd began to gather at the park the next day, Jason felt nervous energy coursing through him. He watched as families set up booths and prepared displays. Kids carried in art supplies and canvases, while parents handed out snacks, all radiating enthusiasm. Yet, Jason still felt the weight of uncertainty resting heavy on his shoulders that he found Mark near one of the tables, setting up a banner. "You good?" Mark asked, raising an eyebrow. "You look like you're about to give a eulogy, not kick off a celebration." I want this to be meaningful." "What if it flops? Remember the feeling last night? This is about more than just art. It's about connection." Mark glanced at the children running around, lost in their world of creation. "They're here because they believe in what you and Lily started. Just trust in that." Stepping back, Jason surveyed the scene unfolding in front of him. Children giggled as they painted banners, parents offered words of encouragement, and neighbors exchanged ideas excitedly. Wasn't that the essence of what they aimed to create, a community reflective of their shared joys and struggles? Suddenly, he heard someone call his name. It was Mrs. Carter, a neighbor from down the street, looking fatigued but determined. "Jason. This is incredible. I brought my pottery wheels, the kids can make their own mugs," she said, her voice filled with enthusiasm, dispelling Jason's anxiety in an instant. "That's perfect. Let's set it up over there." Jason pointed, and they quickly navigated through the crowds. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, illuminating everything with a golden hue, Jason felt a stirring in his heart. Maybe this wasn't about being the best or even measuring up to anyone else's expectations. It was about giving everyone a chance to express themselves, to be seen and heard. Each piece of art, each joyful laugh, was a testament to resilience. Lily appeared at his side, her eyes glistening with excitement. "Everyone's coming together, Dad. Look at that." She pointed to a small group huddled around a canvas display, voices buzzing excitedly about their neighbor's work. "Yes. This is what we aimed for, Lily," Jason said, the knot in his chest loosening. But as the day rolled on, joy mingled with a string of anxious thoughts. What would happen if conflict emerged? Old issues and rivalries resurfaced among neighbors. Would their celebration of creativity devolve into division? As they adjusted the last details of the gathering, Lily turned toward him, her expression earnest. "Dad, what if someone challenges us? What if there's a fight or someone feels left out?" Jason took a deep breath, realizing these were questions he needed to face. "Then we remind them why we're here, Lily. This is about support and unity. That's our strength." Amidst the laughter and chatter, uncertainty lingered around them like a shadow. But one thing was crystal clear: they had ignited a passion, and now they needed to protect it. With a sigh, Jason looked at the crowd, so diverse, yet unified in purpose. Was this the moment they all could break free from the chains of their past? As he closed his eyes for a brief second, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the edge of something transformative, like standing at the edge of a precipice with the wind at their backs. Would they fly, or fall? The gathering moved into full swing, but Jason could barely enjoy it. There was more lurking beneath the surface. What would the night hold for them all? As the sun finally sank below the horizon, Jason blinked against the wash of warm colors painted across the sky. The park transformed into a canvas of twinkling fairy lights and soft, golden lanterns. It felt magical, but beneath the beauty, his heart raced with a mix of hope and dread. He turned back to Lily, who was now engaging a group of kids as they crafted colorful art from scraps of fabric and old cardboard. Her laughter rang out, infectious and pure. Each giggle was a tether, pulling Jason back into the present. "If it starts to get chaotic," he murmured, more to himself, "I can handle it. We can handle it. Dad." Lily's voice cut through his thoughts as she waved him over. "Come see what we made." Jason followed her excitedly. Approaching the small group, he was met with bright smiles and an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. The mural they had created together, an eclectic mix of bright colors and playful images, covered a large section of the wall. It was unpolished but rich with heartfelt expression. "This is amazing!" he exclaimed. The kids beamed with pride, their cheeks flushed from the excitement of creation. "Look! That's my sunshine. One boy pointed proudly, beaming as he gestured to a scribbled doodle surrounded by stars. "Wow, that one's super cool," Jason replied, kneeling down to pass on the compliments. "It's got so much energy." Lily sidled up to him, her eyes reflecting the mural. "See, Dad? They've poured their feelings into this. It's real." But just then, Jason caught a glimpse of two neighbors, Sarah and David, standing off to the side. Their arms were crossed, their brows knitted in concern. Thoughts swarmed in Jason's mind. He knew their long-standing rivalry was only simmering under the surface. The last thing this celebration needed was a return to old tensions. If sensing his hesitation, Lily squeezed his hand. "You okay?" "Yeah. Just I have this feeling someone might not appreciate what we're doing," Jason admitted quietly. Lily's smile dimmed slightly, but she squeezed his hand tighter. "Then let us show them how cool it is. Maybe they just need to feel part of it." Jason nodded, drawn in by her confidence. He could hear laughter all around and see the spark of joy in everyone's eyes. This was exactly what they needed, an antidote to doubt and fear. Without hesitating, he approached Sarah and David. "Hey, how are you guys doing?" he asked, deliberately light-hearted. "Fine," Sarah replied, though her tone didn't quite match her words. Her gaze drifted to the mural as David shifted uncomfortably. "You want to join in?" Jason suggested, gesturing toward the vibrant canvas. "There's room for everyone." "I don't think it's really our thing," David responded, avoiding eye contact. Jason felt a pang of frustration but pushed it down. "You know, this could be a fresh start for all of us. It's about expressing what connects us, not divides us." For a moment, there was a flicker of uncertainty in their eyes. Were they contemplating? Could this actually bridge the gap? But just as hope sparked, it began to fade. "Maybe another time," Sarah said resolutely, turning her back on the mural. Jason deflated, watching as they retreated into the shadows of the park. Anguish twisted in his gut. Why wouldn't they embrace the opportunity? "Dad!" Lily called out again, pulling him back into the present as another group of kids beckoned him over to join their game. He forced a smile, trying to shake off the unease. This gathering was too important to succumb to negativity. But he couldn't escape the feeling that the night held more than just celebration. As laughter erupted around him, the lingering worry about Sarah and David felt like a storm cloud, threatening to rain on their bright parade. But just then, a loud crash echoed from a nearby stand. Sounds of glass shattering sliced through the laughter, and gasps filled the air. Jason's heart dropped. He exchanged a worried glance with Lily, whose wide eyes reflected his own concerns. What now? The tension was palpable as everyone turned to see where the noise had come from. Would this be the spark that ignited conflict, or could they shift the narrative once again? Jason's heart raced as he scanned the area for the source of the crashing sound. Instinctively, he took a step forward, shielding Lily with his body. The laughter dissipated, replaced by murmurs of confusion and concern. He could feel the tension blanket the park, heavy enough to stifle any joy that had been buzzing moments before. "Stay close to me, okay?" he urged, kneeling slightly to catch her eye. Lily nodded, her expression a mixture of excitement and fear. The party was transforming, and not in the way Jason had hoped. Fear rippled through him like a shockwave, threatening to undo all their hard work. Just then, a man from the nearby food stand emerged, his face flushed with anger. He held a broken glass container, shards glimmering ominously on the ground. "Who did this?" he shouted, scanning the crowd. "This is unbelievable." Jason felt the crowd shift uneasily, whispers spiraling up and down like distant thunder. It wasn't just about a broken container, it was about the kind of fellowship he had been trying to create. "I think it was an accident." A voice piped up from the group of children. One of the kids who had been painting jumped forward, arms raised, as if to take the blame in a rush of courage. "We were playing too close. Yeah. We didn't mean to. Another chimed in, his little face pinched with worry. But the angry vendor wasn't soothing down. Accident or not, look at this mess. He huffed, gesturing to the shards. Fear morphed into a collective anxiety as everyone around stepped back, uncertainty swirling in the air. Jason felt a surge of resolve. This was not how the night was supposed to unfold. He could either back away and let the situation unravel or step in and take control. The joy had to be restored. Hey! Jason called out, raising his hand to silence the crowd. Let us all take a breath. It was an accident, right? We can fix this. He focused on the vendor, meeting his gaze with a steady look. How can we help you clean it up? The vendor blinked, somewhat caught off guard. The children shuffled nervously, glancing between the vendor and Jason. The whole atmosphere felt charged, like a spring wound too tight, ready to snap. I don't need help, the vendor said, though his voice was softer now. It's frustrating, you know. We all get it, Jason replied, stepping forward with purpose. But we can make this better. Together. Lily tugged at Jason's sleeve, and he glanced down at her. She smiled, full of conviction. We can pick up the pieces. She said, voice steady and bright. Jason felt a warmth spread in his chest. That wasn't just a child's optimism, it was the kind of belief he'd need to foster if things were going to change. The tension remained, but slowly others began to step in. A few parents joined Jason, helping to clear the shards of glass while the kids nearby gathered scraps of cardboard and fabric left over from their mural project. See, it's turning into something good. Lily exclaimed, helping to collect the remnants of a shattered moment. Eventually, the vendor let out a small sigh, his expression softening as he watched the transformation around him. All right, I guess I could use a hand. Thanks. With that, a team spirit began to reignite among the unsuspecting crowd. Jason exchanged glances with Lily and smiled, relief washing over him. He wanted to believe that they were more connected than before and that this little incident might turn into a lesson of unity rather than division, but then, just as they were finding their way back to joy, Lily suddenly gasped. Look! She pointed, her eyes wide in disbelief. Jason turned, following her gaze to see Sarah and David emerging from the shadows, concern etched on their faces. A flood of emotion surged through Jason. He felt the challenge in the air like a hammer ready to slam down. Would this be the moment they stepped in to help, finally embracing the spirit of community? Or would they remain distant, watching as the connection he had fought for began to fray again? He braced himself for their response, a mix of hope and dread coursing through him. What would they decide? As Jason's heart raced, he caught sight of Sarah and David moving through the crowd. Their presence felt like an electric current, charged with both dread and possibility. Lily's small hand squeezed his tight, anchoring him in that moment. He searched their faces for a hint of understanding, an acknowledgement that they were all in this together. Sarah's brow furrowed, while David stood with his arms crossed, watching the scene unfold. Their stance screamed skepticism, and Jason could feel the weight of their doubt pressing down on him. It was a familiar sensation, like a heavy fog rolling in, threatening to obscure the progress they had just made. Guys! Jason called out, his voice wavering slightly. We need your help. This was an accident, and we can turn it around. It's a chance to show everyone what community really means. Sarah hesitated, her mouth opening slightly as if she wanted to respond but didn't know how. David remained still, caught in his own world of brooding thoughts. Jason shifted his weight, uncertainty making it hard to stand still. Please, he added, his tone more desperate. You can help us make this right. We're all trying to create something good here. Finally, Sarah stepped forward, glancing around at the crowd that had quieted to listen. Jason felt a flicker of hope. This was his moment to bridge the gap. You're right, she said slowly. It is just glass. But a heavy pause followed, thick with tension. Jason's stomach knotted as he awaited the but. It could tip the balance back into chaos. But it's going to take more than just cleaning up. We need to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen again, Sarah concluded, her voice firming up. Let us come together to organize something and make this park safer for all of us. Jason felt a wave of relief wash over him, mixed with admiration. She was right, and there it was, the first spark igniting a larger conversation. Exactly. He exclaimed, trying to ride on the momentum of her words. We can hold a community meeting. We can gather ideas and see how we can keep everyone safe while still having fun. David uncrossed his arms slightly, but Jason couldn't read him yet. Was he on board? Or still unsure? Lily spoke up again, her childlike enthusiasm cutting through the doubt in the air. Yeah. We can make signs about being careful. And have more spaces to play safely. Her face beamed with excitement, the dark cloud of the earlier chaos starting to lift around them. At this, Jason noticed the vendor nodding, a hesitant smile creeping onto his face. I like that idea, he said, the anger from before melting away. If you're doing that, I'll throw in some snacks for the next gathering. We can have a real community event. Encouraged by the vendor's words, Sarah turned to David. What do you think? She asked softly, her gaze imploring him to join the conversation. David shifted, finally meeting the eyes of the group. I think it's worth a shot, he said, though his voice was still layered with uncertainty. But it's going to take more than just talk. The conversation flowed, ideas bouncing back and forth like a lively game of catch. Jason could feel the energy transforming around him. Each person began contributing, proposing new ways to build a stronger community. It was a brewing storm of hope and unity, and it felt incredible, but amidst this shared excitement, Jason couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling creeping in again. What if they weren't able to follow through? What if the spark of today would just flicker and die out tomorrow? As dusk fell gently over the park, Jason wondered if this moment was a real turning point or merely a flash in the pan. Just then, Lily tugged at his sleeve again. What if it rains? She asked innocently, a hint of worry creeping onto her face. His heart sank. Yeah, what if? In that moment, Jason realized that this wasn't just about today. It was about a future that would require nurturing and care. Would they be ready for the challenges ahead? Would they rise together as a community or falter under pressure? With those questions echoing in his mind, Jason turned back to the gathering crowd, all eyes on him, waiting. Would he summon the courage to lead them into whatever storm might come next? Jason took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their expectations hanging in the air like the last rays of a setting sun. All eyes were on him, a small flame flickering under the vast dome of the coming night. Okay, he began, his voice steadying as he focused on the faces in front of him. We're standing here together, and this is our chance to make a real change. What do you say we set this up? A community meeting under the oak tree next weekend? The murmurs of agreement picked up speed. The vendor chimed in again, I can bring more snacks. It'll help get the kids involved. His acceptance felt like a warm blanket wrapped around Jason's heart. It was a simple act, but it ignited hope. Lily's eyes sparkled. We can have games. And art. She shouted, her excitement bubbling over. The laughter and chatter from the adults heightened her enthusiasm. Jason watched as they started to catch her vision, the gears turning in their minds, thinking of how to contribute. David, finally stepping out of his guarded zone, added, and if we add some safety measures near the playground, we can talk about how to take turns and play carefully. His voice was still cautious, but there was a spark of involvement now. Jason felt relief wash over him as he responded, yes. We need everyone to share their thoughts. The more we include everyone, the stronger our community will be. He was beginning to believe they could rally together, not just for the park's safety but for something bigger connection, but just then, a familiar voice cut in. It was Mr. Henderson, the neighborhood curmudgeon, his arms crossed and scowl etched deeply on his face. So you think cleaning up shattered glass and having a meeting is going to make a difference? What about the real issues? Crime, vandalism, those don't just disappear. A heavy silence fell over the crowd. Jason's heart sank back into doubt. Was he aiming too low? Was this just wishful thinking? No, Jason replied, pushing himself to embrace the challenge. What we're doing here is about building trust. It's about starting somewhere, even if the issues are tough. A community that talks together builds a place where we all can feel safe. Let us not let fear win. The crowd began to nod, and he could feel their shared heartbeat rising. Each minute detail fell into place, the way they all connected with shared experiences, worries, and hopes. Lily squeezed his hand harder, and he looked down at her bright, trusting face. Jason realized that sometimes, strength came from the simplest places. As the dark settled deeper into the park, Sarah raised her voice, rallying the spirit building between them. Let us make this happen. Each of us has something to bring to the table, so we need to start sharing ideas. Jason saw the spark ignite again as people began to stand a little taller. Conversations started blending into laughter and enthusiasm. Hurdles that had loomed so large moments ago now felt surmountable, but even as hope surged within him, a nagging question lingered in Jason's mind. Would they all stay committed when the initial excitement faded? Just as he began to ponder this, a chill breeze swept through the park, carrying whispers of uncertainty. He could hear someone in the back grumbling, their doubts echoing his own. With the meeting tentatively organized, Jason realized that while they could come together today, the true test lay ahead. Would they remain united when rain clouds, not just of weather, but of doubts and fears, threatened their hard-won camaraderie? As the group began to disperse, Jason reflected on their journey. For every step taken, they faced 100 potential pitfalls. Would they all hold each other up in those moments? He shifted Lily's weight slightly as they made their way home, and her small voice broke through his thoughts. What if we have a party next time instead of a meeting? Jason smiled at her innocence but couldn't shake the tension lingering in his gut. Maybe that was the real question. Could joy be a more powerful anchor than fear? The uncertainty loomed just beyond their gathered warmth, like shadows stretching long into the deepening twilight. Jason awoke the next morning with the warmth of sunlight spilling into his room. He felt energized, hopeful. The meeting from the night before buzzed in his head like the hum of bees in a garden. They had taken that first step, and for now, that felt like victory. As he prepared breakfast, the clatter of dishes and the smell of toast filled the air. Lily skipped around the kitchen, her energy infectious. Can we design posters today? I want everyone to know about our party. Her enthusiasm made him grin, reminding him of the way communities can rally around simple ideas. Of course, we can, he responded, trying to match her excitement. He knew the posters would play an important role, sparking interest, drawing people in, igniting conversation. It was the next step toward bringing everyone together, but even in moments of enthusiasm, Mr. Henderson's words echoed in Jason's mind. Real issues lingered. What if the excitement of today dimmed by the time the party rolled around? Would they still care when life got in the way? That afternoon, they gathered supplies: bright-colored paper, markers, and stickers. As they worked side by side, Jason marveled at the way Lily's creativity flowed. She drew larger-than-life images of their plans. Messages of community danced across the paper: meet your neighbors. Fun and games for everyone. Each bold stroke reminded him of their potential to spark real unity. As they finished, laughter spilled from the kitchen. The doorbell chimed, and Jason opened it to reveal Sarah, her arms laden with snacks. I thought I'd help out. Can we brainstorm some more ideas? Jason's heart lifted. Absolutely. The more, the merrier. They headed back into the kitchen, where flickers of laughter turned into full-blown conversations about games, food, and entertainment. Before long, others began to trickle in. David brought some footballs, while the vendors shared ideas for unique treats, but a small voice inside Jason still questioned whether this energy would translate into participation after the fun wore off. Did they know the stakes? Would this even matter in the long run? His confidence wavered as he saw the excitement but couldn't he help but wonder about Mr. Henderson's dark clouds looming over their plans. That night, once the door closed and the world around him quieted, he took a moment to reflect. As he looked at the colorful posters that now adorned his walls, something new flickered in his chest. Could they truly change the narrative? The blend of uncertainty and possibility bubbled like a pot of water reaching its boiling point, and then came the shattering sound, an unexpected crash outside. Jason's heart raced, adrenaline rushing through his veins as he grabbed the flashlight and stepped outside, Lily following closely behind. What if something had gone wrong? What if the fears Mr. Henderson voiced were right? As they approached the sound, shadows danced in the dim light, and Jason held the flashlight high, illuminating the scene ahead. The mystery lay heavy in the air, and with it, a hint of danger and opportunity. What awaited them in that darkness? Would it challenge everything they had started or become a stepping stone for something greater? The warm glow of dawn seeped through the blinds, gently nudging Jason from a restless sleep. He blinked against the light, thoughts of the previous night's chaos swirling in his mind. The confrontation that had threatened to unravel their hopes now haunted him, but as he slid out of bed, a flicker of determination ignited within. Jason made his way to the kitchen, where the aroma of fresh coffee enveloped him. His heart raced, not just from anticipation, but also from a nagging uncertainty. This community gathering had been built on fragile trust, and he could feel the stakes rising. Would everyone stick together? Did they truly understand what was at risk? "Morning, Dad." Lily greeted, her bright smile a ray of sunshine amidst his worries. "Can we finish those posters today? I want everyone to be there." "Absolutely, sweetie," Jason replied, pouring himself a cup before setting to work alongside her. The posters they created had transformed their living space into a kaleidoscope of colors. Every brushstroke, every doodle was a testament to their dream of unity. It was all so hopeful. Just then, a series of soft knocks echoed from the door. It was Mark, toolbox in hand. "Heard you're planning a party," he said, grinning from ear to ear. "Thought I'd come help set up some booths." "Perfect timing," Jason exclaimed, relief washing over him. They stepped outside to find a flurry of activity swirling in the neighborhood, neighbors chatting excitedly, sharing ideas, setting up tables. It felt alive, vibrant in a way he had only dared hope. As the day progressed, familiar faces arrived. Sarah and David brought folding chairs, Mrs. Carter dragged a cart of pottery supplies, and soon laughter filled the air as families collaborated, all weaving their stories into the tapestry of this gathering. Each friendly exchange chipped away at Jason's doubts, and their sense of belonging grew stronger. The nervous knot within him began to unfurl, replaced with anticipation. Not just for the party but for what it represented, hope rising from shared trials, yet as he helped set up, he felt a shiver of apprehension. What if a confrontation arose? What if old rivalries threatened to escape the shadows? Just as those thoughts began to settle, a familiar voice sliced through the crisp air. "Looks like you've got quite the setup here. What's the real point?" Mr. Henderson had emerged from the crowd, skepticism trailing closely behind him. Jason's heart sank. He took a step forward, meeting the old man's gaze. "We're here to find common ground, Mr. Henderson. No more division. Just connection. We want to create something meaningful, where everyone feels seen and heard." For a moment, Henderson's expression faltered. He hesitated, as if the weight of Jason's words burrowed into something buried deep inside. Just as Jason's hope fluttered within, Henderson snorted derisively. "Good luck with that," he huffed before turning away. Jason's heart sank again. How could one man's negativity overshadow all that had worked for? But before he could dwell further, Lily's bright voice cut through. "Dad! Look at this." She had gathered a group of kids around her as they wrote down their dreams on colorful cards that would hang later. "This way, everyone can see what we're aiming for." As he turned to watch, a warmth surged through Jason. They were not backing down. They were lifting each other up. He caught sight of Sarah, now confidently rallying people to brainstorm more ideas. Let us do contests. Art exhibits. Games. She exclaimed, her voice growing stronger with each assertion, and just like that, seeds of positivity were planted. That was how change began, after all, not with grand gestures, but with small acts of courage. The sun dipped lower, casting golden hues over the park, and as dusk approached, laughter mingled with the sounds of children playing. The air was electric with joy, and Jason felt a certainty wash over him. That moment of chaos had transformed something fragile into a vibrant, beating heart of community. Could they keep the momentum alive? As he looked around, hope danced in his chest. Yes, they could. They would. Just as the final preparations began to wrap up, Jason stepped back and took a deep breath. Voices mingled in a cacophony of excitement. Old rivalries began to fade, laughter twisted through the air. For the first time, he didn't feel like they were standing on the precipice of failure. No. They were standing on the edge of something beautiful. Eventually, as the light began to fade, Jason called everyone together, heart brimming with pride. Thank you all for being here, for believing in this. We're not just celebrating art, this is about us, each of us. Let us lift each other up. Cheers erupted, and in that moment, as they poured into their newfound unity, Jason felt a rush of clarity that pushed away every doubt. What lay ahead held challenges. Yes, unforeseen storms would come, but together they held the strength to weather them, to rise and to shine. In the heart of that park, amidst laughter and newfound camaraderie, he realized something profound: they would soar together, hand in hand, into whatever the future held. Now is your moment, don't let it slip away. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on more exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like now, each click fuels our journey and feeds the algorithm. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this ending. Share your own transformations, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second, show your support and connection to the community. Together we can create real change.